eggs in one basket. You've put so much time, energy, passion, finance. You've literally spent all your time developing this project, this idea, relationship, and then just for some unknown reason, it's just gone crumbling down and you've lost a lot. Well, that's exactly what happened to my next speaker, Rachel Lowe. She was awarded an MBE for her services to business. She appeared on the first series of Dragon's Den and they were really mean to her, but she proved them wrong. She secured contracts with major department stores, Warner Brothers and Disney, and that's an achievement in itself. But then overnight, just like that, she lost a lot. Her company went into administration and she went into a bad place. But all's not lost, because in this video, Rachel tells you exactly what journey she went through and where she is right now. So if you've hit rock bottom and you think there is nothing more you can do, please watch this video. Please take refuge in what Rachel's saying, because nothing is impossible. So I hope you enjoy this video and thank you for watching.
I was taxi driving, paying my way through university as a mature student. What popped into my head was red light, miss a turn. And I imagined my taxi being a miniature playing piece on a game. And then I imagined the city that I was driving around being the board. And then all the places that I was visiting being destinations you'd find in the game. There was some posters up in the student union saying that there was an enterprise challenge for business ideas. And I wasn't sure at that stage if my idea for a game was a business. So I entered it anyway in the design category, and I had to sketch out the idea for the board. Now, I won the first stage of the competition and I won £1,000, and the next stage of the competition was to do a business plan. And through the process of writing a business plan, I had to research the market. And I soon found that because my game features 45 top tourist destinations within a city, it doubles up as a souvenir. So I called my game Destination, and the first game I created was called Destination London. So winning the second stage of the competition, I won a further £2,000. I wasn't brave enough to go door knocking in London, so I decided to do a Destination Portsmouth edition, because that's my hometown. And that's where I figured I might be able to raise some money. So I approached, my first sponsor was White Link Ferries, and the reason why I chose them is because they'd sponsored the Enterprise Challenge. Bless him, it was the chief executive, and he said to me, what is it that you want from me? And I said, well, I want an offer of sponsorship for you to have White Link as a destination on my game. And I think the smartest thing I did that day was to ask for an offer of sponsorship, because I would have been happy with, 100 quid or something. He offered £2,000 to be on the box and the board of my game, and he gave me a lovely letter on headed paper. So I took that letter on headed paper from the chief exec of White Link to my employer Aquacars, the taxi firm that I worked for, and I asked them if they would like to be the taxi firm on the Portsmouth game. So they sponsored me £1,000, and I kept going, and in total I raised about £12,000 in sponsorship, which was sort of halfway to what I needed to create this game. I then got that match funded with a loan from a company that specialised in small firms funding. And then through networking and the connections that I started to make, I found a factory that could produce my game and a creative team of super talented illustrators to bring my idea to life. £25,000 was just enough to create 2 editions, Destination London, Destination Portsmouth. I persuaded the factory to split the production in half. And through this process of trying to raise money, I had one of the lecturers at university come to see me with this newspaper article about a new TV programme. And I got through the audition process, and then I found myself doing the filming for Dragon's Den, Series 1. I had my business plan with me, and they said, oh, you can't take that up there. I said, but I need it, it's got stuff in it like numbers. And they said, no, you can't take it in there. Doug Richard was quite mean to me. He got me completely confused with my numbers. Duncan Bannatyne didn't think I'd be able to launch a product just based on PR. Rachel Elnor didn't think I could compete with Monopoly. At this stage, I had actually by then already had a meeting with Hamleys. I'd secured a launch platform in the biggest toy store in the world. I'd raised my own funding to create 2 products with my own money. I thought I'd done pretty good, but I left the den empty-handed. I cried the entire way home, and then I felt sorry for myself for several days, and I thought, oh my God, it's humiliating. No one's going to want to work with me. And I found it quite difficult because until that point I felt quite proud of what I'd achieved, and it was quite a knock at that time. I went on to launch Destination London in Hamleys of London, and I had my friends and family there helping out. And it's a really exciting time because I'd managed to secure a deal with Madden Tussauds for vouchers. So for every game you bought, you get vouchers, buy one, get one free into Madden Tussauds. BBC and ITV were filming me for the evening news for that day. And you know what? By 5 o'clock on that first launch day, the stock that Hamleys had ordered for the whole launch period, we sold out by 5 p.m. on the first day. So I went in the back office of Hamleys and I phoned the 192, and I got through to the newsroom at both BBC and ITV, and I said, look, I don't know if my news piece has gone out yet, but can you just let them know that we sold out? Fred Dinage, at the end of my piece, he says, oh, we've just heard that's sold out in Hamleys. Bang, we had an instant demand. The next day we delivered double the stock and it sold out, and the next day double the stock and it sold out, and the game just kept selling out every single day until the 18th of November, when I got a phone call from the buyer saying, have a look online. And I looked at Hamleys' website, and there it was, Destination London, #1 product, outselling Monopoly and all the other top brands. And then the January following that Christmas, I did my first ever toy fair. All the stands are filled with games and toy products, and it's where the buyers will come to place their orders for the forthcoming year. And it just so happened that that first series of Dragon's Den, my episode was screened on the night before the first day of the toy fair. I had lots of buyers coming to my stand. They'd seen me being ripped apart on this TV show, and then coming to my stand and seeing my wall-to-wall artwork saying #1 bestseller in Hamleys. So I could hold my head up high and know that I proved them wrong. We had buyers from Debenhams, for example, come to the stand and asked me if I would do a specific exclusive regional game for them. So could I do, they wanted 3. They wanted Destination Sheffield, Birmingham and Cardiff. Those 3 were the ones that Debenhams wanted exclusively. And that deal was worth £135,000, and it was my first kind of big exclusive deal, which was really exciting. And so that's how all the regional games started to progress. And then a few years passed and I was getting more acquainted with the industry, and then I discovered licensing, but I wasn't quite sure how to kind of get into the licensing arena. And by this time I'd left my office at university. I was working at Technopole in Portsmouth, and on a Thursday morning they'd have like a coffee morning. There was a couple of girls behind me chatting away, and I was like earwigging, and one said to the other, so where did you work before you worked here? And she said, Disney. And I was like, oh my God, I have to talk to you. And I completely butted in. And I said, which department? And she said, licensing. I ended up going to London with her. She drove me up there, and she introduced me to her team of people that she used to work with. And they loved the game. And I walked out with a contract with Walt Disney for Destination Animation. So by this time I had about 23 editions. This is like sort of 6 years in now. And then I was doing another toy fair, and I had a chap come to me from Warner Brothers asking me if I'd be interested in doing a Harry Potter edition of my game. That was a long-winded process, and I did get the contract, and it was very exciting. Approvals took forever. Artwork was really amazing to do. I worked with a team of people from Warner, and it was really exciting. But we had to borrow a lot of money, so licensing doesn't come cheap. You've got to pay a lot of money to these guys to get something like that to market, so it's very expensive to do. So I had borrowed a lot of money from the bank to do this. At that time I had no assets as such, but they still made QPG the finance. So that's how we created the Harry Potter game. So that was due for release November 2008. For whatever reason, they pulled the movie. So the movie that was due to come out November 2008 was then rescheduled for the following July. But what do you still have? All the repayments that come with it. It was the height of the recession. So did my bank bridge the gap for me? Did they give me a bit of time between that November and the following July? No. They pulled my funding within a few short months, what I'd worked so hard to create over those 6 years. March 2009, I find myself sat in a courtroom with the judge telling me I've got 28 days to find somewhere to live because they're repossessing my house because the bank are taking it. June, the administrators come in and the company is put into administration. I did have a complete breakdown. It was really horrible, and it's something that entrepreneurs might experience if things don't go the way that they're planned. It was horrible. I'd gone from being really successful to suddenly having nothing. And then I get this letter from the Prime Minister's office telling me that I'm being awarded an MBE for services to business for all the work I'd done. I did go and accept my MBE, but the irony of that whole situation was that at that time, it was my first experience of negative press, and then I had this one piece that was, it was horrible, and it really got to me. And the whole piece was full of shit. It really was. So I now know what it feels like to have stuff written about you that's just completely not true. But then from that, however hard that piece was, the journalist that wrote that, he did me a favour, because from that piece, I then have my local paper do a full-page article on Harry Potter and the reality of what happened. From that kind of came a bit of a media wave of interest of why did this happen. But the whole thing culminated in a documentary with BBC Panorama. They did a documentary called Banks Behaving Badly, and that was screened in the October of 2008. So, of course, when that was screened, it then created interest from investors. The guy I chose was a guy called Simon Dolan. He had the biggest contract accounting firm in the UK, very, very successful guy. Simon did explain to me that administration takes a long time. When he came to see me, he saw a badge on my kitchen table that said "She Who Dares," and he's like, "Well, what's that all about?" And I said, "Well, she who dares is just my motto in business. I think you have to step out your comfort zone and dare to have a go." And he said, "Well, look, let's set that up and have a go with that whilst we're waiting to see what's going to happen with the games." So we set up She Who Dares UK Limited, and then I did lots of research into the gift market for women. And perfume, I found, was the top-selling gift item, which is the reason why I created perfumes and then onto jewellery and accessories. Because when I had my honour of receiving my MBE at Buckingham Palace, I was made to feel proud and special and good about what I'd achieved, even though, in money-wise, I had nothing. And it really gave me a bit of a lift. So I really wanted She Who Dares to be a brand that acknowledges women. We launched She Who Dares in a beautiful department store in Norwich, and both the two fragrances that I created got into the top 10 alongside all of the other big brands, so I was very, very proud of that. So what happened to the games? Well, it was Christmas Eve 2010, and we finally signed a deal with the administrators to take the destination brand, the IP, into the new company. So now She Who Dares UK Limited would own Destination as a brand. 2 weeks after getting my brand back, just 2 weeks, I signed a contract with the London 2012 Olympic Games for Destination London 2012. And then 4 weeks after that, I signed a fresh deal with Warner Brothers to do Destination Hogwarts. And I could hold my head back up high, because I realised that I hadn't failed. The brand hadn't failed. The perfume packaging. And on the back of the packaging is my message, which I leave you with, which is something I really believe in, and that is just never give up. Nothing is impossible.
I was totally mesmerised by Rachel's story. Every single word. I was going through that journey with her when she was saying it. I totally felt everything she said. Why? Because we don't all have good days. Everybody has good and bad days. And in Rachel's case, Rachel was honest and frank, and she told us what it meant to her. So if you find yourself hitting rock bottom, please, please, please take Rachel's advice and believe that nothing is impossible. Just don't give up. Don't give up on your dream. Keep going. Rachel did, and together with her investor, they are thriving, and I really hope that for you too. So I hope you enjoy this video, and thank you for watching.